Hello and welcome back to another When Life Feels Messy video. Today's video, we are invoking all the spooky vibes and talking about dun 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 midterms. Insert all the creepy feelings, all the chills, all the vibes, because we know this time of the semester, along with finals, is one of the grossest and most stressful times. And so let's just all validate that and acknowledge it as we enter into midterm territory. So in this video, we are going to be talking about just ways to combat the midterm scaries, as we'll call them in honor of October spooky vibes, and just ways to be able to manage that stress and how to take care of yourselves, because what we see a lot is that burnout is happening really badly at this time of year, and hitting the grind and not taking care of yourself or doing really intentional things can lead to just really feeling unmotivated and having no energy to finish out the rest of the semester. So I hope that this video is informational and just helps you feel like validated in what you're feeling, and also gives you some really easy tips and tricks to work through all the stress that might be going on right now and be able to get through these midterms, not as a zombie, but as a fully functioning person who can continue on throughout the rest of the weeks. So let's get it on into this. So we're going to talk about 6 helpful tools, strategies, things that you can do. But the first one we'll start with is a brain dump. I really thought that this was like perfect to go with this theme and our spooky vibes, but we really want to think about like when we have these overwhelming feelings of stress or just like a million things swimming around in your mind, right? Like it can feel like, where in the world do I start right now? Like, where do I start in terms of studying? How do I compartmentalize all the different classes I'm in and the exams and assignments and projects? And so first, let's like take a breath, right? And recognize and acknowledge and validate that that's a normal feeling that comes up right now. And also recognize like there is a way to kind of help combat that. So what I want you to think of is, when we have all these things swirling around in our brain, we need to go about dumping them out, right? Like, so a brain dump, like as it sounds, is literally just dumping out all the things, the topics, the different narratives that we're thinking about ourselves. We need to get those out. So this is when we encourage, like, make a list of everything that's swirling around in your brain, right? Especially the things that are causing you to feel really stressed out, feel really anxious or overwhelmed. And doing this is going to allow you to really check in with yourself and really shed light on what are the things that are impacting me the most. And so when you make this list, get it all down, dump it out of your brain, and then I want you to take some deep breaths, and I want you to walk away from it for a little bit. Walk away from the list, even if it's just a couple minutes, even if you're walking away to go to the bathroom, go walk outside, whatever you need to do. Take a beat away from it. Now, when you're feeling able to, you can come back to the list. And I want you to not think about the list I'm coming back to is a to-do list or are things that I have to like tackle everything on it and get everything done. Like, this is just for us again to highlight what is it going on inside my brain that is causing me a lot of distress right now. So we come back to it, we're looking at the list, we have better insight into what's going on in our mind, what's contributing to the stress we're feeling, right? And it also can really shed light on what is the current self-narrative that we have about ourselves, right? Like in terms of our capabilities of passing the exams or completing assignments, or even thinking worst case scenario, right? Of finishing this program or X, Y, and Z. We know it comes up all the time, and a lot of the time it is the main culprit of a whole lot of the stress that you're feeling. So this is the first thing. We're gonna do a brain dump, we're gonna get it all out, and we're gonna have some awareness around what are the things going on in my head that are really causing me some distress. So the next thing we're gonna do is breaking it all down. So in the first step, we did a brain dump. We had it all put out onto a list or paper or even drawing it, whatever worked best for you. We got it all out. And now we're going to break down the list that we kind of created in that brain dump into smaller and digestible tasks. Now, emphasis on the smaller and digestible. This is not breaking it down into really like unrealistic, hard, big tasks to complete. This is ways that are manageable for us given how overwhelmed and stressed out that we feel. So we're going to start small. We're going to focus on the things that we can like knock out in a few minutes, right? Or a shorter amount of time. And then something that is also really helpful that we really encourage students to use, and maybe you've heard of it, is the Pomodoro method. So this is really great for when you're studying or working through assignments. And it helps to combat that feeling of every second that I'm awake, I have to study or work on school stuff or X, Y, and Z. Because what we know is that's not effective. Your brain literally stops retaining information. And so using the Pomodoro method can really help just be intentional for us of, I need to take a break. I need to relax, even if it's for a couple minutes, to give my mind a chance to just breathe, right? Because you could be studying for 8 hours and haven't been retaining information after the first 30 minutes because you're not giving your system a chance to breathe and process. So utilizing this can be really helpful. And there's like a lot of YouTube videos. You can even just Google it and it talks about, different ways to do it. So definitely encourage you to include this as you're breaking down this list of things that we have to get done. Okay, so the third thing that we're going to utilize is that we understand that something that's really commonly probably going through your head right now is that it feels like there's a million things to do, right? Like assignments, projects, exams, field work. You have a job, you have family obligations, whatever it may be. And the stress of that feeling and also tying into it of there's not enough time in a day. There's not enough days in a week, right, to get everything done. And this can make you feel really worse, right? So because of this, we really want to encourage you, like prioritize your time. Make a visual list of the deadlines and dates for everything that you have. And then use that to plan your time backwards, right? So prioritize your work based on the deadlines, the amount of time that it takes to complete each task. And this is going to help you to be able to make a schedule that you can then commit to and work on each task based on that schedule. So giving yourself even kind of an empowerment and confidence that I've created a schedule that I can follow, and hopefully that would help kind of get rid of the idea and feeling that I'm unorganized, I'm all over the place, I don't know where to start. Okay, on to the fourth thing. So remember that when you are having a lot of feelings of overwhelming stress or anxiety, usually the first thing that we throw out the window is our basic needs, right? And that's just kind of something that I think that society has kind of emphasized and grinded into our brains from a young age of like, if you're stressed out or you have a lot of things to do, you just keep grinding, and you put aside taking care of yourself for the time being, and you can always come back to that. And that's a really harmful thing that I do not encourage and would rather us challenge that and incorporate of a motto or even just like an affirmation of my basic needs have to be taken care of in order for me to be able to handle stressors. And I'll repeat that again. My basic needs have to be taken care of in order for me to have the resources, the capability, the mindset, the energy to be able to handle the stressors of my life. So, in keeping in mind with this, there's a really easy acronym that spells out HALT, HALT, and it stands for hungry, angry, lonely, or tired. And essentially, when you think of this acronym, think of asking the HALT as a question, right? Like, am I feeling hungry? angry? Am I feeling lonely? Am I feeling tired, right? And if the answer is yes to any of those, that's a real clear flag to indicate that we need to take care of that area first in order to be productive in our studying and our completing our assignments. Because no matter what the narrative that's been pushed on you says, pushing yourself to the limits and ignoring your basic needs or keeping the grind, it's not sustainable, it's not healthy, and it is the quickest way to burnout. We see it all the time. So, thinking of the hungry category, we need to eat regularly. We need to keep up our energy. We need to keep up our motivation. So if you know you're going to be at campus all day, pack you some snacks, meal prep, set aside a timer to remind you of when to eat, right? When to take meal breaks. If you're feeling under the angry category, that the agitation, the frustration, the irritability, the anger are coming up. These are all common when we're stressed out. These are common emotions that come up in this time. But we have to be able to process this in a healthy way. So some things that you can do is participating in some physical activity, moving your body, doing some meditations or deep breathing exercises, or using creative outlets, right? These are great to help and make time for things that are going to allow you to enjoy them and take a break and move your body or just activate other areas of yourself that's not your brain, right? And can help with these unpleasant emotions that come up. Thinking about the lonely category, right? So are we feeling alone or isolating? Because that tends to be a coping mechanism when we don't feel like we're understood or have withdrawn into ourselves. We hear a lot about students, that have friends or family and they just don't get like how hard these grad programs are or how much energy and time it takes and that they can't do, things that they used to do or go to outings all the time, right? So check in regularly on if you've reached out to whoever your support people are, right? Or feeling like I can do, certain social activities that make me feel good, right? Or connecting with a mental health provider, such as our CAPS team, or even if you have an outside therapist or whoever, but making sure that we're checking in if we're starting to feel those feelings. And the last one is tired. And what I will say to this, and if you take anything away from this, this might be one of the most important, is pulling all-nighters is not helpful or productive. And I know that that's a standard that's kind of encouraged or even like fantasized a little bit across like college and like in the movies and stuff, but it's not helpful. There is a lot of research, you can Google it, that says sleep is vital for you to be productive and effective and retain information and do well. So you need to sleep. You can only study so much in a day, and you have to sleep. You have to give your brain and mind that chance, because what's happening is if you're pulling all-nighters, chances are you're not actually studying in a way that's effective, that's allowing you to retain that information. Rather, you're just cramming it and it's staying in that really short-term memory so you can take your test, right? And you might do well on it, but you probably won't retain that information, which is not going to be helpful for you in the long run, all right? So make sure like we are going to bed at a reasonable hour. We're putting our devices away. Research says putting it away 1 hour before bed, but I know for some of you that might be a lot to ask. Take power naps when you need it, right? Like throughout the day, like doing things to help make sure that my body is getting the rest it needs and I am sleeping. Okay, second to last thing is we want to celebrate all the victories and accomplishments. So we're not just going to show appreciation and acknowledgement to the big things, right? Like passing the exam or going on to the next semester, X, Y, and Z, right? But we need to give love and support and acknowledgement to the things that we accomplish along the journey and throughout this process. Because what we kind of set ourselves up for is this idea of unless I finish the really big thing, I'm not good enough or I haven't done enough. And that's really damaging. That makes us feel like we have super high, sometimes unrealistic standards for ourselves and kind of tells us that we're not enough unless we do X, Y, and Z. When in fact, taking some time to just be intentional and appreciating and showing some love when you are able to finish one chapter of reading, right? Or are able to finish an assignment, right? Like those are things that we need to be sure to celebrate for ourselves. And the last thing, reach out for support. You have so many resources at your disposal, especially here as a TW student. There's so many departments that are able and willing and eager to give you support, encouragement, resources, whatever you need. So be sure to utilize them. Some that, kind of to shout out to, Pioneer Center is really great at helping you with test anxiety, strategies for studying, or really figuring out like how to manage all these classes and things to do. Disability services, it's a great resource. The career services, if you're having stress and things in terms of figuring out like, what am I gonna do? Where do I want to work? X, Y, and Z. The library, and so many more are all here and ready and waiting to help you. So don't be afraid to reach out, utilize them, and also utilize your personal support systems, right? So, family, friends, maybe it's even people in your cohort, or professors, or mentors, or whoever it is. Like, reach out to them, right? They are your support system for a reason, so utilize them. Okay, so as we wrap up this video, again, just a big reminder, if anything else from this, like we know that midterms feel gross. We know that they can feel very scary and overwhelming. We know that it causes a lot of emotions and stress to come up, but we really want to remind you that you have tools and ways to navigate this. You have people in your pocket that are here to support you and encourage you in any way that we can. So if you're feeling like you need additional support, please reach out to our CAPS team. We are ready to meet you and work with you and help figure out ways to combat that stress in a healthy way. So feel free, give us a call to schedule your intake. You can call us at 940-898-3801. But we wish the best of luck for you all on your midterms and as you go throughout the second half of the semester. And if you need anything, you know where to reach us.